everybody. How are you doing? We're a little bit late, but hey, you know, Trina, I think fashionably late is better than, really early.
Yeah,
So, how are
not
you
bad.
doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing good, doing good, doing good.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody. Favor that we like to speak favor over everybody. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Um, be in our lives. And, it's interesting, is it not, Trina, how we're coming into the holiday season. And yet, I heard today that the holiday season brings on the most stress,
Yeah.
highest rate of suicides in a period of the year. Um, I don't know. Does that sound like joy to you?
When I got my social work degree back in, oh my God, 95, the statistics were already, that was the statistics, was that the highest rates of suicide, depression, your hospital visits are all through November, December, January, from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. And it was consistent for years and years and years already back then. So yeah, people have so much expectations
Ooh. Mm.
on these traditions, and they've been highly commercialized. So it's like,
Yes.
if you don't have a lot of money or things to give, it's like people have lost the real message about what Christmas should be, is the act of giving and the act of showing and expressing love and gratitude to all of those around you. And like my thing of the Christmas tree is the activation of the pineal gland. I'm going with that. So
Love it. Love it. And the celebration of the tree was absconded by, unfortunately, the religious part.
yeah,
It,
and I'm
it, it
going with the whole activation of the pineal
yeah,
gland,
yeah.
lighting up the tree in your mind. I'm like, I'm going with that.
When you were talking, the song Simon and Garfunkel, the Song of Silence, and the people bowed to the neon god that they had made. And, this year we've told all of our family that we're not participating in this materialism. It's bad enough that it's gotten so religiousized, but the other part now is the materialism has replaced the whole purpose of joy.
It's so funny, now that I'm an adult, and like my mom and dad, they stopped doing the whole Christmas thing with us like 20 something years ago. Now it's about food, getting together, gathering. We might bring each other a bottle of wine or,
Yeah.
chocolates or, something like that. But it's around food, and we might bring a game, stuff like that. But the adults, like ever since any of us got married and had kids, like all of us kids, it was like game over. So we do stuff for the children because you want it to be magic for the children. But
Yeah.
the adults and the older kids, it's like, no, it's like we haven't done that for years. And it makes things a lot less stressful.
Listen, I grew up in a period of my life very poor. I mean, if you've ever watched the Waltons, I
Mhm.
mean, we were really that poor. And I remember the two Christmases. I never enjoyed the holidays, but, you know, we actually made gifts.
Yes.
And, we would start, many of us would start doing it, months before. And there
Absolutely.
was a certain joy to that because
Yes.
you said something, the expectation
Yeah.
exceeded the perception.
Yes. And that's why people are suicidal, because their expectations weren't met. Or,
Hmm.
they feel like they weren't acknowledged for how much they gave of themselves. There's so much to this.
I'm reading in the chat room. People are right there. By the way, thank you, moderators. Hello, everybody. Hello, Big Al out there, wherever you may be. And how is everybody? So there's Maria. You changed your name. It's like, okay. And there's Julie Ann. I'm going to have Julie Ann on. By the way, just a digress on this. I had the most delightful conversation with Roger over at Mud Fossil University. It was a great conversation, delightful man, and we're getting things to we're going to have him on. He is just a fabulous individual. His research really brings in, Trina, as we talked about the holiday and the psychological effects that it has on us, we're finding out this illusion of the perception of reality,
Yeah.
how elusive it truly is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, his research is fascinating to me, and I can see that happening. I could see that being a reality. It's as simple as a shift in vibration. Everything could express itself smaller or larger, or everything in between. And it could have just been a much larger spectrum than we see right now, because right now we see small people, small plants, large plants. We see that already expressing itself within our species to some degree. Yeah, I could totally see how these enormous trees were cut down, and
Yeah.
you would need an enormous chainsaw to cut down a tree that big.
The
So
interesting thing about it is I look at that, I'm almost seeing a different type of technology, almost as if you could see a laser coming across.
yes,
And
yes. And
it's a
I
wild,
think the Raphaim, the giants.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm working on tomorrow's presentation. It's a mind blower. And when I was talking with Roger, the Morocco dragon that he
Mhm.
shows is 1,300 miles
Yeah.
long.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but if I saw something at the beginning that was well over a quarter of a mile, that was what it would be.
Wayne, I've been able to like travel since I was a kid. I had a very great imagination. So, and that's probably because I was constantly using it,
Which is good.
connecting to the higher realms. And in my visions, I've seen beings, like godlike beings that were so big they could hold the earth in their hands. And I've seen dragons, like plasma light dragons, like they could hold the earth in their hand too. I've seen enormous beings, angels and beings. And they talk about giants being 3,000 feet tall. You know, that's huge.
In the book of Enoch, it says that they were 3,000 cubits.
That's
3,000
that's
cubits,
that's huge. Because isn't a
4,500
cubit
feet.
like, yeah, is it a cubit like 3 feet plus or
You
minus?
have, yeah, you have the royal cubit, which is from index to here or something,
Yeah,
but yeah, about 18 inches.
that's insanity.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
that's oh my God. Could you imagine even a being 1,000 feet tall? Could you? Uh, whoa,
you know
that's
what it
huge.
says, and you can't deny it. This book is, it will affect you inside because it paints a different reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what you made me think of when you were talking yesterday? I was like, because remember Lilith said she gave birth to Eve. Remember
Hmm.
the females
Yes.
were forced to give birth to a giant, it would kill them.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what happened.
Well, their queen, Lesta, we're going to be introduced to. Um, she became crippled because she gave birth to
Because it broke the
Oggs.
pelvis. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said. And that's
yeah,
giant
yeah,
gene.
yeah.
That's why I was like, I wonder if that's what happened. And I went, Eve, born in sin. That's just to me profound. Don't know why, but that came in my head. I was like, I wonder if Lilith was forced to conceive giant and it killed her.
And it brings up because here's the thing, and it's a mind coitus of the ultimate kind, the kind that really tickles because you're laying there trying to go to sleep and you're going, now wait a minute, because there's a history that has been overlooked.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And Trina, the grief that I'm feeling is as I'm reading the words of what other Homo sapiens,
Hmm.
and that's what I'm assuming that they were,
Hmm.
um, what they were enduring and the horror that they would get. And so as I'm writing, I hear this thought, Wayne, that's why humans invented gods of their own.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
looking for a deliverer,
Yeah.
a savior.
Yep. Yep.
Do we comprehend how far this construct goes back?
We can't even we can't imagine how far it goes back, because it goes back beyond, it goes back way far.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we could perceive it in time.
The Bible, in the first book of Genesis, particularly Genesis 2, it says that man was a slave. Man was a laborer. There was no one to till the ground.
Yeah.
And we read constantly that it looks like we really were created as slaves, even if you believe the Sumerian folklore.
That's what it seems like. That's what they were showing me. And like, they would show me like Adam got put to sleep and they took part of a divine man and they made little selves out of that divine man. Yeah.
And that's exactly what the Raphians said that we were. They
And
called us
that's
the
what it
smaller
said. I was
selves.
like, and it says we were born into sin. I wonder if this is all about that giant gene mingling. I wonder if that's the true serpent seed, is the giant gene. Uh-huh.
There is
We have reptilian concept. We have reptilian glands. We have eggs as females. We got skin. We shed. Yeah. I wonder if that's the sin thing. Because I always told me it was about the replication station in the genetic code. Reptilian genetic replication station. So this is like, oh my God, if Lilith died giving birth to the first Raphaim and it killed her and it was a female, she would be able to procreate and give birth to more, because thank God it was female. And it says, I will put anonymity between you and the female. I wonder if that's why all the female Raphaim died.
Very interesting.
I'm like, it was all just going in my head.
Yeah, I love that.
This is fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and Raphium also has and what I'm finding out, there is a difference between what they say is the Raphium and the Nephilim.
Oh,
and yeah, and I'm going,
okay.
So what is now, as we're going to discover, these Raphium giants, they weren't human. They were bipedals. I'll say that. But they all had magical powers, what we would call magical powers.
Wayne, I had a vision of that, and I think this is where you get the Greek gods of
the Titans.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, those Greek god things. Yeah. Those. Yep.
Now I'm going to go back.
It's like they got sick or something. It's like
they did. They did.
A virus or something. I don't know.
This is just a thought. They were cannibalistic. I mean, they ate a lot of us, but they ate a lot of each other.
Were the Titans cannibalistic?
Yes.
Okay, so from the very beginning of our understanding, at least. Okay.
They had lots of them that were Cyclops.
Oh, you're right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's right. Yep.
And the Cyclops, all the one-eyed giants, isn't that? And it's in our folklore, our nursery rhymes. The one-eyed giant.
Absolutely has been always. Yeah, just like Jack and the Beanstalk. Ho ho fo fee fi fo fum.
I smell the blood of an Englishman. Yes. Yeah. And what we're going to find out, they drank our blood. I mean, so the one-eyed giants, they had the ability to see the future. They were true seers.
And that's funny when you look at the three fates, the one, they're always trying to get the one eye, and they can predict the future.
Yes.
All associated so closely.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here just absolutely, mesmerized by the.
I'm like, that book is profound, Wayne. I was like, wow, that's a doozy right there.
It truly is, because you get this, you see where everything is interwoven.
Yes, and with the Bible scripture, and totally. Yeah. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like when I saw the 10 Commandments in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, page 129, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Who's
I thought
plagiarizing
Moses
you?
wrote this, right? I was like, okay, wait a minute. This is crazy.
Yeah.
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 It's
And so it boggles my mind today. Um, I had a chance because sometimes you can just stand and meditate and things come to you.
yeah.
We're seeing, I don't know if you want to call it transition, transmutation, but we're seeing what I swear is that we're coming into the age of the machine.
I
Now,
I I see that because I saw from when I was a small child, it was explained to me, and somehow I understood there would be a battle between machine and organic. And that would be the great division between the people. Some people would choose to stay organic human, and the others would go on the transpersonal uh, artificial intelligence road and the chipping and all that. And I think it's what's supposed to happen at this time. But like the aurora borealis, that white light, Wayne, I was jumping up and down. I was like, that's the new light. It's starting to code the planet now. And this is going to be the good stuff. And this is going to reawaken our old, you said, the giants were all magical. Well, we got those in our genes, and they're getting ready to wake up.
and there's good evidence that you see this promise scattered through so many different religious beliefs,
Yes.
but when you start reading these books that that the church has cursed,
Yeah.
and I know why,
Yeah.
you begin to think about. I keep on thinking about Leviathan. That Leviathan that big that it can exist on land as well.
Mhm.
The intelligence. I mean, it becomes a factor. Does cranium equate to intelligence? The size of your cranium.
No.
Well, what if you have a brain capacity 4 times, 5 times the size of the average human?
Well, you're in human form, yeah, it's going to be superior, but not what you are inside, beyond your flesh. So I can see it both ways. I can
Yeah,
see,
I'm
yeah,
just saying the creature is
yeah, the human
probably
category, it might kick your butt flat. Boom, done. Yep.
what was it? The Hobbit and the Desolation of Smog. I thought that Peter Jackson and his crew got Smog down perfectly as to what a dragon would truly be. And if you go back and you get a chance to watch that, read what Smog says. He says, I was here before any of you.
Yeah.
And I'm going,
Yep.
that could be exactly what they were.
When, because I was all down on the whole reptilian thing many years ago when I first found out about it. And, I hear the laughing and they're like, you are reptilian. It's like, oh, so yeah, I've known for a long time that we are part of that species. And it was told to me that they were before us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were here first.
And so
That's why they claim they have the right to rule, because this was their territory first.
I hear the immortal words of Ecclesiastics, that which was shall yet be again. Solomon said that. So they said he was a pretty smart dude.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he had another appetite, but the
Mhm.
fact that, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's like, could they actually be a savior to humanity? I don't know.
Yeah, that I could see that being a yes. It's because it's just like all reptilians aren't evil. I mean, what if they have the same exact constructs that we do? Some decide to go rogue and they're crazy and they're bad, and some are not. Some are good, some are kind, you know?
Isn't that what they say about dragons? That most of them are
Yeah.
very benevolent?
That's what I would see. I would think that would be because you see that in an expression pretty much in all nature
I
and part
do.
of the natural construct. I think you're going to see all of it expressed.
I hope so, because I don't like the idea of Father Martin, who writes at the end of the book, and I think I'm getting where he's coming at. And I'll share this with everybody, Trina. So he was a Jesuit priest, worked in the Vatican, and when he got finished translating this series of books, he was questioning his faith. Yeah. And that's when he came and to the conclusion that there could never be a Lucifer, because his reasoning was, how could you have this most holy God and you have his prime creation, Lucifer, standing in front of him? At what point in time would Lucifer have time to be thinking of darkness? Mm-hmm. Now, we are raised with the construct here that God is superior. Whether your belief is, in a religion, fine, or in a non-esoteric position, which I take. I see the supreme creator, the infinite being. Mm-hmm. Father Martin said this. He says that there is an evil. He said Satan's work is already done, as far as he was concerned, from the Catholic Church position. Satan had finished his work. Mm-hmm. He couldn't do any more. Mm-hmm. And what Father Martin said is that he's convinced there is something else that came here that defeated God and Satan. And we have been living under this, as he says, it's a darkness beyond anything. He said he tried to use the name of Jesus against it when it first manifested to him. He said he pleaded the blood of Jesus, and he was trained in exorcism. He said the name had no effect. He said that it was of such a coldness that he was truly afraid beyond death itself.
Someone else just reported on something similar from that when they came back from Antarctica, and it wasn't that astronaut and he almost died?
Something close to that.
Yeah.
So that's a concept of the illusion of the perception of reality. What if we're living in a reality that has been created for us?
Oh, I think we are.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I truly do. Yeah. Well, when I remember not wanting to come in here, I knew it was already set up game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to admit, it feels like you're walking into a game that the cards are already stacked against you.
They are,
It's like,
they are. And I think it's because of the construct and the primary construct of it is your body.
It's odd, isn't it?
This is what you are using to be in this construct. So 90% of what's going on is because of this body.
So talking with Roger, he had an interesting point that if you look at the atom has an electron, a neutron. Mm-hmm. From there, everything is built. Everything is basically created.
Yep.
And it hit me, what if something, and we can't conceive anything greater than what we can conceive. Mm-hmm. But what if something of such an intelligence started at that basic level and has manifested itself, as this former Jesuit priest said, something that's even greater than God?
I don't think anything's greater than God, but the expression of evil was so extreme, they perceive it as greater than God because they just couldn't even imagine something that evil, that dark, and that big. And that might be the
Here's something for you. What if it is God? Remember the duality of the whole construct of God.
Yeah, that totally could be. I could totally agree with that.
What if something turned it?
Yeah.
An energy, a vibration, a harmonic.
A virus. A replicating virus.
I mean, these are concepts and ideas that...
That's funny, Wayne, because I was always told from the Lord, you are the antivirus.
See?
That's,
I mean, it's not beyond possibility.
No, I totally, like, why would I be told I was the antivirus if we weren't coming in here to battle a sickness?
Wow, you know, this
I was
is,
like a kid. I didn't understand any of this crap. So, like, I
yeah.
had no idea. I understood what an antivirus was, to fight off like a cold and made you strong, you know? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I was like the antivirus. Yeah, we seem to be the antivirus to wake people up to their own.
Something I just had this thought and says, well, now you've injected the thought into the machine, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so whoop, 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 and there it goes. I'm trying to read
Yep.
some of reading some of the comments. We're not the original Hugh man,
True.
man of
Very
color,
true.
the original Adama. We are
True.
copies of the copies filled with the divine spark. We are pure
Yep.
consciousness of a pre-existence.
Yeah, I think our
Um,
actual soul, Wayne, is pretty huge. And that's where we get the whole sons of God, because your soul is like a sun. It's a huge bright light, and you're fractal. This is a fractal of your spark. So you have a piece of your spark. It's your fullness.
but
I
wait a
think
minute,
God.
we are not sons of God. I think the theology or the religious part says that we are sons of man.
Yes, that because
The
yeah,
giants
the
were the sons of
original.
God.
You're right. Yeah, that would be Raphaim. That would be the new
Yeah,
clay of us, the new clay of
yeah,
us.
they were the
Yeah,
sons of
the
God.
original. But see, the original, I see like we come like from a huge light, but
Hmm.
your light is a big light too. And little parts of your light are like down experiencing in different realities.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it where, you know, back in the day when I was a roadie, you know, they would have the lights down in the auditorium, you know, before sound check. And you
Okay.
could literally hold a match in the darkness of that arena, no matter where you were, you could see that match.
Wow,
You know, it's just that small spark, even in the darkness, your eyes would immediately are drawn to it. So I can see that,
that's amazing. Yeah.
you know, but it still gets me back to this whole point. Why would a species now? In the Book of Og, there's a reason why they went extinct. But I have found out every time we say something's gone extinct, it seems odd that we find, you know, years, decades later, well, maybe they're not so extinct.
Yeah. Somehow they just reanimate.
Yeah, I mean, that I saw was who was it? River Monster or whatever the guy Jeremy was. Uh, I subscribed to his YouTube channel because, you know, they're finding now these fish that are prehistoric. They're coming up from the depths that they know that they're that one guy said that probably looking at something 100,000 years old.
You know, Wayne, I think dragons are probably flying on this planet right now.
Ooh.
I think the forbidden forest in China might hold some great secrets about mythological creatures that are being protected. I think there's a lot going on. I know that on this planet there's a Jurassic Park where they've got the dinosaurs, and they probably did genetics and
Oh,
reanimated.
I have no doubt. And you
Yeah.
know, when you think of China, the Great Wall, it
Yeah.
was built to keep something out, not
Yes.
keep something in.
I think so. That's what I'm telling you. There, and that wall was so enormous. So I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I really think a lot of these things are alive. I think they're in protected places. And I really do think that there's a lot more continents on this earth that we're on that we have never been allowed to know about.
I listen, at this point, nothing would surprise me. Nothing.
That old map they found in
No.
that church, that Buddhist old China map that had,
Hmm.
it almost looked like Atlantis, and it had like 12 continents surrounding us, 12 outside these great big barrier walls, which are probably those big ice walls.
It's quite apparent that our species, as I'm writing this presentation out and I'm putting comments in there, I get the idea now of if you think about this, these smaller selves were us. I think that they were sapiens. sapiens. They were intelligent. They had families. There was a structure.
Yeah.
But they knew that there was a good chance that they would be literally eaten.
Yes.
When we talk about a collective consciousness, yes. And I'm thinking to myself, if you don't know your beginning, how do you know your end? And I'm thinking that would be so traumatic upon the consciousness of humanity.
Yeah.
We were eaten. We were grown for food. We were bred for food.
Yes. Just like we do now with our animals.
Thank you. And that's what someone wrote yesterday in the comment that, well, how is that any different than what, right now over in India, there's a Hindu custom. They have like 20,000 animals that they're doing this ritual that was done to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say something, please, because I
mean.
get so worked up about this.
It's like it's the food chain seems to be one of the dominant things within this whole entire construct.
Yeah.
And that's just gross. So
I never considered us, Trina, as a food source.
Oh, I did. You were ahead of it. Like I knew the chances of death were really good. Like I knew that. I somehow knew it. And I knew, and I've had a lot of times in my life where I should have probably maybe not been alive and I just got through it somehow, it just happens down here. And I knew that.
Wow.
Having that awareness and knowing that I didn't want to come, and I didn't have that remembrance. I mean, I could always talk to the Lord and I remembered all the good stuff, but the darker stuff, the truth of that I didn't want to come here, that took me till I was like in my early 30s. I was in school at Sweehaw and I was doing an ear protocol, and that was what I was shown. And it was, I was floored. And my instructors, Wayne, they're into all this kind of stuff. They literally, when they heard me tell them my experience, they both looked at each other and one of them goes, I knew it. So they were onto the same thought processes, obviously, that they did. They were brought in here like going, I don't want to go. So there's something to this. I don't know what.
I think there is. I mean, I know in the 70s, wasn't there a science fiction show where it was dealing? Oh, it was V.
Yeah.
V. Remember V?
I do.
Yeah, and they were the reptilians, and they were feeding off of us.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. See, this is why I love doing the show.
Creating their own in pods.
Yeah.
And I think we have both species on this planet. We've got the pods.
Oh, I'm convinced of it.
Yeah, we've got the organic birth humans, but we've got pod humans too, I think.
Well, Roger and I were talking, and I was telling him my point of view on the cataclysm story, which we call Genesis 1 and 2. And I said, the interesting thing is that those Genesis 1:26 people, it simply said that they were created, both male and female, and they were good and perfect in the Creator's sight. But I said the interesting thing was to get over in Genesis 2:7-9, now we're being formed out of the dust of the earth in the image of, and the difference is that the Lord God breathed into the man, Adam, and gave him a soul.
Yeah, because he would not rise. Yeah.
So the question becomes, well, what happened with the Genesis 1:26? They were not formed out of the earth, and they were not breathed into.
No, they were born with it in them, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, the giants.
It's hard to know because I think that they've taken these things out of order to screw with your brain.
They did a good job. I mean,
yeah, so
for thousands of years.
Yeah, because it's not in order. The story's not being told in order.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to welcome everybody. There's a lot of people in here. Thank you for joining us. Happy holidays to everybody. Peter West says, 2 separate evolution lines. Well, that's the conclusion I came to, that, and someone.
Well, that would be the Cain and Abel all through history, the battle of the two brothers, even to Zeus and Jupiter, and
Well, some
Saturn
say
and
it's really
Uranus.
taken from the Sumerians, of Enki and
Yeah,
India.
and even back to the planetary bodies.
Hmm. Well, that's something else we haven't discussed. Listen, we got an asteroid belt out there that was a planet, Tiamat, I believe.
I think so too. I
And
think so too.
I am convinced that that is where we originated from.
I think so. And it's so funny. Every time I hear Tiamat, you know what I hear after that? Terra, tiara,
Yeah, yeah,
crown.
the crown. Yeah.
Crown. It was the crown jewel.
I
And
keep on
got
thinking it was
destroyed.
probably more of a perfect orbit than Earth is.
Yes, and it was a more of a perfect frequency, and it wasn't infected with this virus.
Just season greetings to Regina. Thank you. Um, so this is very interesting. So think about this. If Tiamat had been destroyed,
Mhm.
then it very well could be that the giant's position is we were here first.
It is their position.
Exactly. You are an invading army.
Yeah.
You
No,
populate like
you're our
cockroaches.
slaves, right? You're our slaves, and we own you. That's
Yeah.
their perspective.
Yeah.
They truly believe they have rights of ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This brings it all the way into it. I mean, why isn't it that a species, a race on another planet that we know is out there, that was out there, that they didn't see the destruction and they wouldn't be technologically advanced enough to literally figure out how to get, how shall we say, the hell out of Dodge?
You know what they've always shown me? It's like reptilian comes from the draconians. So the dragons, the dark dragons,
Okay.
the bad dragons, their seed, just like Cain and Abel, it's always good and bad. So their seed produced the reptilians. The reptilians, I think Earth was maybe their planet first, and we were on Tiamat, and maybe Mars. I think Mars too was one of our original home planets. I think we also have a lineage from Venus. I've seen that we come from those too.
Bring up a
So
good point about Mars. I mean,
yeah, and
evidence shows.
I think Venus too.
Yeah.
Venetian, we were Venetian. They always told me you were Venetian. It's
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think the Venetian is the cellular memory that brought forth the Greek, the ancient Greek, and the Atlantean. Those were cellular memories from Venus. And
Interesting.
yeah, and Mars was, I think again, I think it was primarily inhabited and dominated reptilian first. Very different energy, very different control,
Someone
slavery.
says,
Yeah.
why was Earth's distance past predominantly reptilian in nature? I think it had to do with the ecological condition of the planet.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were just genetically superior to this planet. It was their just worked for their genetics.
In the Coburn Bible, it has a number of stories of creation. The one that I found most fascinating was and the Egyptians obviously got this story from Mesopotamia, etc. But anyway, that there was a species here of us that lived in a different light.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and when the new light came, it virtually wiped us out.
Yeah, made us stupid. It put the amnesia, it dumbed us down. Yeah.
Yeah. And that
I think it was the double helix.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that third one that was stripped away, but
I think it was 12. And
I
they
think you're probably yes. Yeah.
literally cut the two main ones that would allow you to operate your body and create a body, and everything else they shut down, cut off, or whatever, and then they fuse that helix together to where now we have a two-stranded instead of 12-stranded. Even our body construct supports a 12-strand nerve system in the ganglia of the stomach, in the cranial,
Mm-hmm.
the brain. So yeah, I think they shut us down from 12 to 2.
I think they did too. Something happens. Al, Big Al, I didn't know you were in the audience. How you doing, my friend? Who owns the planet now? I'm telling you, I think
I think reptilians,
I think
draconian.
people get close to that answer, they end up disappearing sometime. But
Well, the Queen and all of them. I mean, the Queen, 2 years ago on her official website, Windsor Palace official website, she did. You notice she hasn't been doing her Christmas message anymore.
yeah, I mean, she said it was going to be the last Christmas or
Right. And did you
yeah.
notice that she'd done a Christmas message for what, 67 years or something crazy like that prior to that? Now there's no more Christmas message. And I think 2 years ago, since she's not had no more Christmas messages, they don't let her talk no more a whole lot because she went on the official Windsor website and announced that they weren't human, but that in no way would harm their ability to rule. So that, everybody needs to know that they're good, not human beings, but nonetheless, that they're truly not human. She literally wrote that on the website and they removed it so fast in a hot minute.
That
You
they
can still
did.
find it. You can find it on the internet because millions of people screenshotted it.
Yeah, I
So,
think I saw that.
yeah, it's so that's who's ruling us. They still rule us openly.
Well,
But the true rulers we don't see them.
no, and I
I
think
think they're
that's
higher dimensional beings, but I do think, Wayne, they're still reptilian draconian.
I get up, I wake very early in the morning, and I go out every morning when the stars, you can see them, but Orion is in a different place. And if I continue to look at the Pleiades, and makes me continue to think that, are we really that isolated? Because it would appear, boy, the more and more I think about this, it appears that we're almost being kept isolated.
Yes, like we're
You know?
being caged.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm convinced that the technology, that
Yeah.
whatever assumed the internet, and I see the internet as literally an entity.
Oh, it is.
Um,
Yeah.
the prison.
hmm
It's
though, it all goes back to Star Trek for me. It's like, what God wouldn't need a spaceship. And then on top of that, it's like, once you understand that you're more than your body and you're more than human, and it's like, oh, you can go back and do a better job, all the ways they trick you. I think they have to get you to agree, because if they didn't have to get you to agree, they wouldn't scare you. They wouldn't put this fear on us. They're doing that to keep you under control, but you're doing it to yourself.
when I was a Christian, one of the things, and when I studied the scripture, and I studied it quite diligently, always bugged me was the passage in Colossians. And in Colossians, I think it's 3:7, I may be wrong in that, but it said the bond, the note, the title deed that had been held hostile against us.
Yes.
Clearly indicating, and I recognized this 30 years ago,
Yep.
and I could never find anyone that could really address it in a manner I thought that was adequate. So what's this dude talking about?
I
This
think I know what he's
contract.
talking about.
I bet you do.
He's talking about the contract that you wrote, and he's talking about the contract that you're born and bonded into at the moment of your birth and entrance into this property, with the footprint, birth certificate, social security number. You're bonded, tagged, bagged, chattel. So that's the other layer. And then I also see that this is on a spiritual level with the Akashic records.
Actually, I'll add to that, Trina. I see it as a combination. I did a whole video on the birth certificate.
Mhm.
And, I tried to get a class action lawsuit, couldn't find any lawyers that would take it on,
I know.
because the implication on this is not just from a physical, but it clearly is something greater than just the physical body.
Yes. Yes.
And it's damn scary.
Yeah, it's a spiritual thing. So I said, you must revoke these contracts that you're bound under, that you do not have knowledge of. Contracts have law. Contract to be valid has to have three things: beginning date, start date, and it has to have start date, end date, it has to have consideration, and there has to be disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
There is no disclosure. That's fraud.
Well, the thing that I found when I wrote The Birthright is that we're born in a blood covenant.
Bet you are. Yes, we are.
Yeah, I mean, every human being is born in blood.
Yeah. Yep.
That is, when you go deep on that one, this one really does get interesting.
It does. That when I came into that information, it literally rocked my world for like 21 days.
I can see
I
that.
kept trying to disprove it. And the more I would research it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They've really done this to us. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
And you're going, well, no, well, what the heck are they talking about? It's like,
yeah.
Now, I think you're absolutely right, because when there are covenants, it's interesting. Even when I'm reading in this book of the giants, they entered into covenants with their children.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
Yeah. I went,
Well, even like, it's crazy. People have no idea how dark it's just dark. It's so dark.
it is dark. It is.
Like, what can you say and not raise some big? I could drop some ugly bombs right now, but I'm like, I probably better not.
Well, it reminds me of that movie City Slickers, when Curly died, and the cook said, Lord, we give you Curly. Try not to piss him off.
Piss him off. Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, when I go over, I mean, we're all going to pass.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I'm going to really dig the moment. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be orgasmic, but
right.
Damn it, Trina, I got some questions I want some answers to.
Oh, that's the thing. It's like, I think that's why we're guaranteed success. If there is success to be had, we will be the ones who will get it, because we aren't going to just buy come into the light, follow grandma, and get sucked into another portal and get reincarnated out of another vagina. We're going to know, like, hold the phone. I need to collect myself first. I need a figure out what is going on with this crazy world. Just that awareness in your own, and to know that these gods that you've been fed in this construct are copycats of original gods that are beautiful beings, but nonetheless, they're gods. They're not source.
Yeah.
So this God is unfathomable. You will never, it's like, it's too big. It's like, understand you're part of it, but you will never be it. And you can never really experience it or see it. So we put all these labels and these beliefs on, trying to please God. Well, if you're trying to please a God of this land and this matrix and this human form, you are talking to the God that's going to eat you like a scoop of snack.
Yeah, and apparently they're well versed in that. I mean,
that's why I was wondering. I'm like, oh my God, was Eve a giant because they like to eat humans, and they were very smart, magical beings, and they were very large. And it seems like we had a lot of those running around before us. So
apparently we did.
Yeah. So I wondered if we come from Raphaim.
When I discovered that they have many different races, they had blacks, they had whites, they had golden skin ones.
Yeah. The Viking lookings, the African,
I'm going
Chinese, the Asian too. They had Asian too.
They did.
Yeah, they had everything. So
all over the world.
All the races that we would see expressed in humans, they had in the giants.
So again, I'm left in this befuddlement going, and they just disappeared.
And you know what? That would make sense if they did something with genetics that they were not allowed to do. And God said, I will put anonymity between you and the seed, and all the females die giving birth. It's only a matter of time before you're going to go extinct.
Well, that's what happened. Yeah. The women, and Og says it.
The virus, that could be the virus, because from what I was shown, it's like this virus is the darkness in us. It's the part of us that can be very, very violent. It's from that part of us because we did not have that in us before we came into here. I can
I hope
remember
not.
what it felt like. We don't.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did not. So it's like once you get to the highest realms, if you're still stuck in the lower level astrals, it's just like Earth. You'll get more of the same. You got
Well,
to get
what this does, it begins to present
Mhm.
challenging this because again, when I was deeply into the Christian faith, the thing that we found that angels were always seen to be 8, 9, 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that I saw back
Yep.
in the day was a good 9 foot tall.
Yep.
Blonde
The
hair, blue
last one I
eyes.
saw, Wayne, was over my daughter's bed. And she was probably 12 to 16 feet tall, but she was knelt down beside the
Mm-hmm.
bed, but she was huge. My daughter's room had 22-foot high ceilings at that time. The tips of her wings crouched were approaching the ceiling. I was overwhelmed.
So it does begin to bring the concept, how can the spirit be defined, in its height, its breadth, its length? And it again, when many of us pass over, I think they're going to usher us into a room. They're going to say, all right, you have figured it out enough this far.
Yeah.
What do you need now?
It's so funny. I think this is like the graduation. Like
Yeah.
when you figure stuff out, it's your graduation. That's
Trina, what if you're the virus being trained now to be injected in when we pass over to the next realm?
That's why we came. We came here to fill and flood this construct with new information from the organic essence of man, so we could bring back the man codes because the original man codes are stronger than the virus. The original man codes are godly in their essence. They're from what it was shown to me was like we have a molecule structure right now. We're in the Moloch. We're in the 666 molecule.
Mm-hmm.
Our original cell was they showed to me like it was like instead of a photon it was a phonon, like a light sound cell. That was miraculous. It was
Okay.
had all potential of anything within anything. It literally was one with creator. It could be anything, this potential. So it's like it can be anything, and that's what we've truly come from. So what we are now, it is a beautiful construct of matter and viruses and biology, but we come from light. So we've had to drop down, and this is hence the fall, because we had to drop down into um, form to experience form, because light and form operate a little bit different. They have a lot of similarity too, because we have bodies in light too, but it's just differences of vibration. This vibration is very dense.
And you speak about vibration and frequency again, the experience of one's journey and
Mhm.
the acquiring of knowledge begins to influence what I think is a frequency that you emit, which bears to the point that if you're at a frequency at this point where awareness, you're challenging constructs, concepts, ideas, that carries over into the next life. You would be the vibration to another person who went over in a belief system.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have two different frequencies here, two different vibrations.
And that's why I think you can't meet, like you won't be in the same places.
I
Like
don't
when
say how
you
you can be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you won't. But I will tell you though, you can choose to lower your vibration. If they're at a lower vibration, you can choose to lower your vibration and have them raise their vibration. And sometimes you can meet in the middle if the frequencies aren't that far apart. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can't have one way up here with higher mind and one down here like eating babies on the weekends. They probably will never be able to meet in the middle. But yeah, so
Apparently they did that quite often in the weekends back in the day, you know.
That's what I mean. And apparently now a lot of the upper echelons still do these things. So with that,
It I'm going to say something that's very controversial here, but it is a thought because one of the things that the giants did in sacrificing to Baal was the infants and the males.
because of the chemicals.
Well, they wrote that they sacrificed so many in this one point when this moon child was being born that they said for weeks the smoke was darkening the sky. It was us. And
That's funny, Wayne. You know, they say the Raphaim are called moonchild. I always heard that we were starfire. So that's funny. Moons and stars.
Moonchild was the prophecy of Baal, and he delivered.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh man. And it, you know, and I've studied enough. As I was telling Roger, I said I've studied enough from so many different points of view. And when you start looking at something like these books here, you're going to wait a minute.
I know it's a conundrum.
Yes, ma'am. It is.
I mean, we've been so taught history. Everybody's been fed the same line of crap. You know, we've got 6 religions to choose from and all their thousands of variations of within, and it's all not true.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, obscured and hidden and twisted around. And it's like, you know, this is, you know, the Bible always spoke that, you know, we would come to the time of the apocalypse, and that's now. It's because that's an awakening. It's learning and understanding the truth of what you are. And I think we're doing that now. And I think it's going to increase. And I think this new light coming out of the Aurora Borealis, because it's white, that's high frequency. And that is a unbelievable good sign. Just an unbelievable good sign. Because I saw that we would be the antennas to first help bring in and anchor this new light, new energy, and it would go out of our bodies and it would anchor into the earth, and then the earth would express it. And I think this is the first expression that we've seen of it. And that's just amazing to me because it's what I feel in my gut. I've always known that we would be the activators to activate the planet through new thought. It would be the fire, the destruction of the earth by fire would be by the awakening that we have in our mind with this information, this knowledge of knowing we're more than just our bodies. And we can affect this reality because it's a mental construct.
I think we're already affecting it.
Big time.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Knowledge that has been hidden, restrained, is being made manifest.
Wayne, I heard a while back ago what you've done pissed a lot of people off.
I've been told that.
I'm just going to leave it at that. But the waves you were making by giving these ancient books to the people, especially the ones who want to receive this wisdom of these hidden stories, the waves it's making are, you can't imagine. They're huge. And they are going to not stop.
That's well worth it. I mean, you know, you take a lot, you know. It's like someone said to me, would you visit a church? And I said, they'd call security.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I said, oh no, not you.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, when I walk into certain churches, I can feel the entities. They know when I walk in the door.
I bet they do, you know.
You carry a different vibration. And I think you carry a different color of blue within the aura that they know and identify. It's a certain blue, I think. I don't know why, but it's a blue. They know that blue. They know it.
Here's a little thing. We've all heard the story of the upper room when the Holy Spirit came in and the tongues of fire were dancing on their head. Yeah. What most people don't realize that flame was a blue flame.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it was reported as. Yeah,
I did not know that, and it's so funny because I see it like a blue fire, like the Sims characters on the little video game.
Yep.
I saw that Sims character, and that was when I received that information. I'd never ever saw that, and I saw that blue diamond. They're showing you the truth. I was like, what? And that's when I received that information. The light that is emanated from beings, it's like above your head, this little light thing. And they're like, when you're enlightened, like they can see it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's doing, but it's doing something where everybody knows.
I have been out of the body, and it's interesting because what people don't realize, there are many of us, literally, that's what our essence is. It looks like a flame. It literally
Yeah.
looks like a flame.
Yes. And
Mhm.
I've seen it too. It's unlimited potential.
And
So
there's a
it
black
could,
flame. I want to
yes,
let people know there is such a thing
yes,
as a black flame.
yes. And there's also too a point of light, and then there's the void.
Well,
There's
thank you, Alandros. Very fine. Yes, we are going to rise strong. You know,
yeah,
if again, when we see the obstacles that we've endured as a species, and we're that generation that's coming in,
yeah.
I can't help in a lot of ways feeling a certain satisfaction that we have accomplished, I think, initially what we have come for. And now the opportunity is to really allow us to further fertilize, shall we say, the ground for the next generation to come.
It's so beautiful because we're coming to an awareness that we're part of God. And as that part of God, we literally are creators. We're manifestors.
Mm,
We manifest
mm.
every day. And these control freaks that think that they own us, they've controlled us to where we do what they've wanted us to. We've manifested their reality.
Yeah.
So now with this awareness, we can start to manifest our reality. And it might take some time, but it's just like, we will be the way showers, and it's going to be through what we think about, because what we think about, we bring about. And we're looking down the right doors. Yeah.
I think we are. I mean,
I
I had
know.
this vision last night, and it's quite interesting because it's like when you break through a barrier, all of a sudden the doors begin to manifest, and it's like, and you're going, okay, could
Yeah.
take another 2 or 3 lifetimes to figure, the doors.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that's like the key thing. It's like we really need to understand, especially everybody in this community, because you guys are so onto this stuff. Everything that's happening in your reality is reflecting back at you right now, either what you need to get rid of, or what you need to bring more of into your reality. So I'm seeing it on the extremes right now. It's like it seems like this window of time that we're in right now might be setting up like our next cycle for the next like 7 to 10 to 12 years. Like it seems like it's a big manifestation point right now. So really think about what you want to see in your life. Spend some time dreaming it, envisioning it. Drop those seeds of love and joy and creativity into the matrix. We are the seeders. We are the ones right now receiving this information, receiving this higher thought, because we're seeking it, and we're curious, and we want to know more about our own existence and our own selves. So plant away.
I
Don't
love it.
plant what they feed us anymore. No more letting them control our reality. We need to seed and develop the reality to more of a vision that we want to see. Because I do know we do have that power.
All I got to say is right arm.
Yeah, we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
that's literally what I saw. That's what we came here to do. It's like you guys will start to think these new thoughts, and you will start to act like he said, like Jesus, which was a way
yeah.
shower. It was
Yeah.
like a master, trying, meditating, connecting to your soul essence and your spirit, and walking in that faith, knowing that you're bigger than just your body, and creating consciously instead of by default. And through that
Mm.
process, we would activate the crystalline grid, and it would be reflected through the earth, and we would see it come out as light. And we're seeing plasma light right now. We're seeing the aurora borealis just turned white. We're starting to see evidence of this new light all around us.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we went over, but that's
Oh,
okay. We
no.
do that. That's why we're here. Trina, that was beautiful. I'm not going to say anything on top of that. I think that is a perfect way to not say goodbye. We'll just wait to see y'all later. That's what I say. You know, much
Yeah.
love to everyone. Thank you all. All of you are just, you're beautiful people, just groovy all the way around.
Family, soul tribe.
We,
Like I said, when we're going to go where we vibrate, we're going to see a lot of these ones in this group when we cross over.
I believe that there is more foundation to that than in anything I've heard about death. And yeah,
Yes, our soul tribe.
I think,
We
you
found each
know,
other.
we know that some of us have passed on and they're already over there. And I think personally, they're just setting the table. That's all.
Absolutely. And I think they're helping us in more ways than we will ever understand or fully know.
Yeah, I really do believe that.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we'll see you next week at the same time. Have yourself a great week. Trina, thank you again, my dear. Hold on as we get out of here. Folks, much peace to you and bring joy into your life. And I saw Gilbert was talking about how he was alone and actually brought that elderly couple a tree, and that, you know, that is the true reason for the season.
That's Christmas right there. What a great example.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was so wonderful.
That is beautiful. And, you know, it's those small acts of kindness that have such a very large impact.
Yes.
Gilbert, you don't know probably what you did for those. Thank you, Susan, of bringing that spark of joy, because I'll just say this: when you get to be 90, and if all of us will make it that far, the time goes very quickly, but it becomes so much more precious. And Gilbert, you sowed something that
Powerful.
well, yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful. So way to go, folks. Way to go. Y'all are fantastic.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
It just brings tears to my eyes. So
Me
Gilbert, you're the
too.
man.
Like, dang it, making me cry on YouTube.
All right, folks, we will see you later. Much love to everyone. Bye-bye.